The shocking truth about Queen Elizabeth's favourite British dishes. For over 70 years, she was one of the most recognisable women in the world, a symbol of duty, elegance, and tradition. We saw her in glittering crowns, at grand banquets, and waving from palace balconies. But behind the public image, Queen Elizabeth II had another side, a woman of habits, quirks, and surprising simplicity, especially when it came to food. Forget the image of endless silver platters and exotic delicacies. Her table was a place of comfort, routine, and deeply rooted British tradition. Some favourites came from her childhood, others from the places she loved most, and each dish has a story of etiquette, personal taste, and moments that reveal the human side of a queen. Today, we're stepping into her private dining world, exploring the dishes that truly mattered to her and uncovering why they might surprise you. Number 1. Special K cereal, the everyday start. Hook. Imagine the Queen beginning her day, not with champagne and oysters, but with a bowl of supermarket cereal. It's early morning at Buckingham Palace. The corridors are quiet, the London traffic muted beyond the heavy curtains. In the dining room, the table is laid with fine china and polished silver, but at the centre sits a plain plastic Tupperware box. Inside, Special K cereal. She pours a modest portion, adds just enough milk to soften the flakes, and sits down to read the day's Racing Post. No fanfare, no chef standing by, just a private, practical breakfast. Even the corgis, lounging at her feet, seem to know the routine. Number 2. Earl Grey tea, but not always. Hook. The tea in her cup wasn't always what the world thought. We often imagine the Queen with a delicate china cup of Earl Grey. And yes, she enjoyed it especially in the afternoon, but those who work closely with her say that in the mornings, she often preferred Assam tea. Stronger, darker, and with a malty depth, it was the perfect wake-up companion. The ritual was precise. Warm the teapot, measure the loose leaves, pour boiling water, and steep for exactly the right time. Served without milk or sugar, the tea was clear, fragrant, and served in bone china cups, the same style she'd used for decades. Number 3. Jam pennies, childhood on a plate. Hook. These tiny sandwiches carried memories from Windsor nurseries to palace tea rooms. Afternoon tea at the palace wasn't just a meal, it was theatre. Among the selection of scones, pastries, and sandwiches, there was always a plate of jam pennies. Small, round sandwiches filled with raspberry jam, cut to the exact size of an old penny coin. Crusts removed, edges neat, and never served with points, a subtle point of royal etiquette. These weren't just dainty snacks, they were a link to her youth. As a child, Elizabeth and her sister Margaret would enjoy them during playroom tea parties, served by nannies on tiny plates. Decades later, the tradition remained, like a sweet thread connecting past to present. Number 4. Chocolate biscuit cake, a slice of indulgence. Hook. This was the one dessert she loved so much, it followed her around the world. Made from rich tea biscuits and dark chocolate, set into a dense, rich cake, it was sliced daily into modest portions. When she travelled, her staff ensured a fresh cake awaited her at each destination. Once, after returning from an overseas trip, she found her unfinished cake had been carefully stored, just as she'd left it, ready to be enjoyed again. It was indulgent, yes, but familiar, a treat she never tired of. Even during grand state banquets, she'd occasionally request a slice afterwards in private. Number 5. Dover sole, simple, perfectly cooked. Hook. For lunch, the Queen often chose the lightest touch over lavish presentation. Picture a plate of Dover sole, simply grilled with the faintest hint of seasoning. No heavy sauces, just a wedge of lemon, and perhaps a few sprigs of fresh herbs. Served with wilted spinach or steamed courgettes, it was elegant without being fussy. She valued the purity of the ingredient, letting the natural flavour of the fish shine. In a palace where menus could be as elaborate as a novel, this dish was a quiet statement. Quality over complexity. Number 6. Sunday roast, the family tradition. Hook. Even royalty doesn't skip this cornerstone of British life. On Sundays, the palace kitchens would fill with the irresistible scent of roasting meat. Beef, lamb, or sometimes venison from Balmoral, turning slowly in the ovens. Roast potatoes crisping at the edges, Yorkshire puddings rising high, and rich gravy bubbling on the stove. These lunches were more relaxed, a time when family gathered, jokes were shared, and the Queen could enjoy being surrounded by those she loved. At Balmoral, the roast was often served in a smaller dining room, the conversation as warm as the food. Number 7. Pheasant and game, Balmoral favourites. Hook. At her Scottish retreat, the menu reflected the rhythm of the land. In autumn, the surrounding estates provided pheasant, grouse and venison, freshly hunted and prepared in the kitchens. Meals were hearty but not heavy, with vegetables from the garden and sauces made from the day's catch. For the Queen, this wasn't extravagance, it was part of life at Balmoral. The estate's traditions, the crisp Highland air, and the seasonal dishes formed a world far from London's pageantry. Number 8. Cucumber sandwiches, etiquette in every bite. Hook. A sandwich so simple, yet so bound by rules. The Queen's cucumber sandwiches were a study in precision. Bread buttered thinly, cucumber sliced paper thin, crusts removed, and the sandwiches cut into neat rectangles. Never triangles, pointed edges were considered improper when serving the monarch. It was a small but telling detail. At her table, even the simplest snack reflected centuries of tradition and an unspoken code of formality. Number 9. Gin and Dubonnet, the pre-lunch ritual. Hook. Before lunch, there was always time for this royal signature. Served in a crystal glass, her gin and Dubonnet was made with a 2-to-1 ratio, garnished with a slice of lemon and 2 ice cubes. It was light, slightly sweet, and a fixture of her daily routine for much of her life. It marked a pause in the day, a moment to transition from morning duties to the slower pace of lunch. In private, it was as much about the ritual as the drink itself. Number 10. Marmalade sandwich, the secret in the handbag. Hook. The Platinum Jubilee sketch with Paddington Bear revealed the truth and the world loved it. While played for laughs, the idea of her keeping a marmalade sandwich in her handbag wasn't far from reality. She loved them soft white bread, generously spread with orange marmalade, wrapped neatly. On long days, especially during travel, it was the perfect comfort. Humble, portable, and a reminder that even the Queen found joy in the simplest things. The real shock about Queen Elizabeth's favourite dishes isn't that they were extravagant, it's that they weren't. They spoke of routine, heritage, and comfort over indulgence. From Tupperware cereal to the perfect Sunday roast, they showed a woman deeply connected to her traditions, her tastes formed long before the crown. In a life filled with ceremony and global attention, her plate told a quieter story, one of constancy, modest pleasures, and the belief that, no matter who you are, the food you love says more about you than any title ever could.